Says that I can only get up here once a year, so when I do get here for a little bit of time, I fish and come and talk to kids, and we sing a couple of songs and do a couple of concerts, and it's always the best time. So thanks for the invitation to come back, Jabiru, and thank you to John Bray for the phone call to be able to just go, hey John, can I come up and do something obviously here in Area School and do a little concert for everyone at the Fete or whatever you want to work out, and he just pulled it all together and just said, look, we'll make it happen just like that. So put your hands together for John too.
Whoa, yeah!
That's the sort of teachers we need, don't worry about that.
And mate, I think your Kakadu connection first started at Coimbra back in the, must be over 10 years ago you did your first gig down there.
Oh look, my Kakadu connection and Arnhem Land connection started back in 1990 actually. I came here with Brian Young in 1990 as part of his touring band. And I fell in love with this place straight off. I was down at the crossing, waiting for the crossing to go down, and we all decided we'd go fishing. And it was an amazing experience for me. I was only 21 years old. And I still come back to this very day, I suppose. It's people that I've met over there on that first trip that I still see to this very day. So it's pretty cool to still be able to come back and see this country and see the people and to enjoy it.
So mate, what have you been doing? You got a brand new album out called Home, and it's apparently it's a different story. You recorded it overseas?
Yeah, I had a bit of a dream, bucket list record that I wanted to make, and everyone says, oh, you'll never be able to record with those fellas over there. And I said, look, I just want to pull these amazing band members together who play with Alan Jackson and George Jones and all these great country acts, and pull them all together for 2 or 3 days, and we made this record called Home. It's pretty ironic that I'm calling it Home and I recorded it over there, but all the songs are written here. But I was really proud of just the way that the musicians had that respect for me. They didn't know me from a bar of soap. But as soon as you start to sing, they know that you are serious about what you do, and they like the way you write songs. So I brought that album home and really enjoyed the way people are listening to the stories and relating to them, you know.
And debuted at #1 on the country charts in, was it March this year?
Yeah, we had, it's my first number 2 on the actual big area charts too, but a #1 country chart, which was fantastic. And you know, charts don't mean much, I suppose, really in the scheme of things. As long as people know what you got and they want to go and buy a record, that means that they understand what you're talking about and they like your music. So I just want to continue to tour around the place and get to see these beautiful places until the end of the year. So this has been a big thrill for me to get back to here.
Now you're living in Brisbane at the moment.
Yeah, been there.
And been there for a while, and a young family. But you're from the bush, it was near Grafton?
Yeah, we grew up on a property just outside of Grafton, and you know, 100 acre block there, and we just loved every minute of growing up in the country. And all we had was a record player, and the rest of it was just a couple of cows and a few horses, and that was about it. But the record player was a big source of amusement for us, and that's really what led me here today to play, I suppose, is the fact that all those records that Mum bought really got in my soul a lot, even as a very young kid. And I started to play guitar, and I saw some of the younger generation kids here playing the guitar, and I thought, yeah, that was me. You know, I just couldn't stay away from it. Would just pick up any guitar that I could, even if it was out of tune, and try and play it. And I'm so glad that, you know, I was able to continue on, make a job out of it, and love it too.
So I read somewhere you started going to Tamworth when you were about 10 or 11. So your heroes back in those days, Old Slim? And,
Slim Dusty, Lionel Rose, you know, people like Roger Knox to me were heroes, Indigenous heroes to me. Where I come from, our Indigenous heroes were people that we thought, well, if he can, we can. And Lionel Rose was a big part of that for us too. So we spent a lot of time watching what they were up to, and realising that if you got a bit of a dream, you can just keep chasing it. So we're still chasing them too, don't worry. There's still a lot to achieve, so nothing's really said and done yet. There's still a lot of miles in us left, I think.
For sure. Now you're here for about a week. You're doing Goombulanya, I think, Friday night. Darwin, it's the National Indigenous Music Awards at Gardens Amphitheatre, and you'll be appearing there.
That's right. The Nemas, half of the reason for me to want to try and get a couple more things together over here with the Nemas got me over. I got a nomination, I think, for Artist or Album of the Year in the Nemas as well, and it's really lovely to be able to invite it to Darwin in the first place, but then I just can't come for one night. That's just a waste of a flight, I reckon. You've got to get over here and have a couple of days. So I get home Sunday morning off the red eye to see my kids, because I want to make sure I've got the whole day Sunday with them before they go back to school Monday. And I'll be a bit tired, I suppose, but that's life, and they understand the tired version of Dad or the energised one, but it'll be the tired one, I think.
Now, so Saturday night you're playing in Darwin.
Yeah.
So you're warming up Darwin. The following Saturday, Kenny Rogers hits town.
That's right, yeah. Wow.
And I read somewhere you're also on the road with Kenny down south.
Yeah, we got offered a few shows. Glenn Campbell had to cancel because he's had sort of really bad run-ins with dementia and stuff like that, so he's had to cancel his tour. So all the Australian acts that they could gather up, we got on board to try and help the Kenny Rogers tour. with the other things that I've got booked, I was able to make 2 or 3 of the shows. One of them is Melbourne, one of them is Perth. I wish I had done Darwin now. I could have come back next week, but someone else probably scabbed that spot off me, so I'll see how I go. But it's such a great pleasure to play with someone like Kenny, because he's got all these amazing songs, and you sit back in the wings watching him play all these tunes, and it's just so surprising to see how many hits he's had.
And he's got some new work too, I believe.
You mean on his head?
On his head.
Oh, look, I don't mention much about that. You get close enough to him, you realise it's him, but from a distance, you wouldn't know.
That's it. Well, he'd have 30 years on you. He's not a young man anymore. He'd be 70 plus, wouldn't he?
Yeah. He's getting around quite okay, though. He's had a knee reconstruction and stuff, and we toured with him for a couple of gigs. We did Sydney for a couple of shows, we did Melbourne, and I think one in Brisbane. And it was really good to see he still gets around, sings great. So, you know, if you want to go and see someone, I would class him as a legend, because the legend gets overused at times, I reckon. But he's someone that's been around for long enough to be classed as one of those.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, mate, tonight you're our opening act and you're warming up. We've got the Red House Band playing a bit later on, so you're our warm-up act for the Red House Band.
That's right.
Now, did you see the boys before, the Red House Band?
I saw them. I'm looking forward to sitting around having a listen to those.
And do you know why they're called the Red House Band? Because it's the Red House from Town Camp.
Okay.
So they'll be playing tonight. Now, I'm going to introduce to you our captain, Dalen van der Veerdonk. Is our captain's going to introduce you, Troy, to be our opening act for the School Fete. Thank you. Dalen.
Thank you. It's with great pleasure that we welcome back to Kakadu Troy Cassar-Daly. He is one of Australia's top recording artists and loves performing live in concert, and we love listening to him. Troy has been to Jabiru many times, and we hope he keeps coming back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please clap your hands for Troy Cassar-Daly.
When I was a little boy, I used to lie in my bed, listen for the 909. It never ran on Christmas or the day that Jesus died, but every other day it ran on time. Well, it always made me lonesome, but it brought me comfort, and what it did for me I can't explain. And as I wander through this harsh and gentle world, oh, every now and then, well, I wish I was a train. Roll on into the dark night, leaving all my troubles behind, carrying my soul far, far away. Oh, every now and then, well, I wish I was a train. I loaded trucks and eyes, I rode the dingo fences, I cursed the gang